Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to mosey into the heart of Montana, where the sky stretches as far as the eye can see, and the air hums with the spirit of the Wild West. Picture this, a world where the sun beats down on sprawling ranches, casting long shadows from the majestic mountains in the distance. The air is crisp and clean, carrying the scent of pine needles and wildflowers. This ain't no place for the faint of heart, though. Out here, life is as unpredictable as a bucking bronco, and folks gotta be tough as nails to survive. But amidst the rugged landscape and untamed beauty, there's a certain charm that's hard to resist. It's a place where folks still value hard work, honesty, and a good old-fashioned sense of community. So, saddle up and get ready for a wild ride as we explore the world of Vale of the West, where love and loyalty are tested, and the fight for what's right is a daily occurrence. We're about to meet some unforgettable characters, experience heart-stopping action, and witness the enduring power of the human spirit against a backdrop that's as breathtaking as it is unforgiving. Get ready to meet the Johnsons, a couple who embody the true grit and resilience of the West. Jett and Jennifer Johnson are the epitome of a power couple, running their beloved Blue Horizon Ranch with a mix of passion and grit. They're a force to be reckoned with, facing every challenge head-on with unwavering determination. Jett, with his calloused hands and steely gaze, is a man who knows the land like the back of his hand. He's a true cowboy, tough as leather and fiercely protective of his family and their legacy. Jennifer, with her fiery spirit and compassionate heart, is the backbone of the ranch. She's as comfortable in a pair of jeans as she is in a dress, and her love for Jett and their life together is as boundless as the Montana sky. They're partners in every sense of the word, facing every challenge side by side with unwavering love and support. Their love story is one for the ages, a testament to the enduring power of love and loyalty in the face of adversity. But their idyllic life is about to be turned upside down. This ain't no fairy tale though. Their love is put to the test as they face down threats to their livelihood and their very way of life. But through it all, their bond only deepens, proving that true love can weather any storm. They say behind every strong man is an even stronger woman, and Jennifer is living proof of that. She's as comfortable saddling a horse as she is balancing the ranch's books. Their love story is one for the ages, a testament to the enduring power of love and loyalty in the face of adversity. Enter Virelli, a ruthless businessman with his sights set on the blue horizon. He's the epitome of greed, willing to stop at nothing to get what he wants, even if it means destroying lives and livelihoods. This ain't no ordinary land dispute. It's a battle for the soul of the West, a clash between tradition and ambition. With his slick suits and silver tongue, he might seem out of place in the rugged Montana landscape. But beneath his polished exterior lies a heart as cold and unforgiving as a winter blizzard. He's a master manipulator, pulling strings from the shadows and using his wealth and influence to get his way. Virelli represents the encroaching modernization that threatens to consume the West's traditions and values. He sees the Blue Horizon not as a home, but as a prime piece of real estate, ripe for exploitation. The stage is set for an epic showdown between good and evil, between those who cherish the land and those who seek to exploit it. And folks, let me tell you, when Virelli sets his sights on something, he doesn't let anything stand in his way. He's got a whole bag of dirty tricks up his sleeve, from legal loopholes to outright intimidation. But what Virelli underestimates is the power of community and the unyielding spirit of the Johnsons. As a storm gathers on the horizon, mirroring the turmoil brewing in the lives of our protagonists, the stage is set for a showdown of epic proportions. The tension is thicker than a bowl of 3-day chili as Virelli makes his move, threatening to snatch away everything Jett and Jennifer hold dear. The very land on which the Blue Horizon stands, passed down through generations, is at stake, and Virelli, with his bottomless pockets and ruthless ambition, will stop at nothing to claim it as his own. The storm clouds gather, not just in the sky but also in the hearts of the Johnsons as they prepare to defend their legacy. Will Jett and Jennifer be able to weather this storm? Will their love for each other and their land be enough to overcome the forces aligned against them? Buckle up, Buttercup, because you're about to find out. Get ready for a showdown that'll have you on the edge of your seat, folks. This is more than just a fight for land. It's a fight for the soul of the West. A clash between the old ways and the new, where only the strong survive. Hold on to your hats, folks, because Vale of the West is about to take you on a wild ride through the heart of the West, where love and loyalty are tested, and the fight for what's right never ends. Sunrise over the Blue Horizon, a day in the life. The rooster crows, signaling the start of a brand new day at the Blue Horizon. The sun peeks over the horizon, painting the sky with hues of pink and orange, as if God himself is setting the stage for another grand day in Big Sky Country. Out here, life moves to the rhythm of the land, a symphony of neighing horses, mooing cattle, and the gentle creak of saddle leather. Jet's already up, of course, coffee strong enough to knock out a grizzly bear in hand, his gaze fixed on the horizon. He's a man of few words, but his actions speak volumes. Jennifer, her hair pulled back in a no-nonsense braid, is busy in the kitchen, the aroma of bacon and eggs filling the air. There's a quiet understanding between them, a shared love for the land and the life they've built together. Days at the blue horizon are long and demanding, but there's a certain satisfaction that comes from working the land, from carrying on a tradition passed down through generations. The ranch is more than just a business to the Johnsons. It's a legacy, a testament to the hard work and determination of those who came before them. But even in this idyllic setting, a sense of unease hangs in the air, a shadow lurking at the edge of paradise. The cowboys, their faces weathered by sun and wind, share hushed whispers about strange happenings on the ranch. Cattle spooked for no reason, fences cut in the dead of night, a palpable tension gripping the air. The ranch hands more than just hired help. The Blue Horizon ain't just Jett and Jennifer though. They got a whole crew of loyal ranch hands, each one as tough and dependable as the horses they ride. There's Jake, the seasoned foreman, his wisdom as vast as the Montana plains, always ready with a calming word and a steady hand. Then there's Billy, the young buckaroo, full of piss and vinegar, eager to prove himself, his laughter echoing across the ranch. And let's not forget Sarah, the sharp-tongued cook, who rules the kitchen with an iron fist and a heart of gold, her apple pie legendary throughout the county. They're more than just employees, they're family, bound together by sweat, grit, and a shared love for the land. They do anything for Jett and Jennifer, and they're about to be put to the test. They gather around the long wooden table in the mess hall, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the kerosene lamp, a sense of unease settling over them. The whispers start low, barely audible above the clinking of silverware and the crackling of the fire in the hearth. They've all noticed the strange occurrences on the ranch, the subtle signs that something ain't right. Their loyalty to Jett and Jennifer is unwavering, and they're ready to stand with them, no matter the cost. Whispers on the wind trouble starts brewing word travels fast in a small town, especially when it comes to matters concerning the most powerful rancher in the county. Virelli's arrival in town ain't exactly a secret, and folks are talking. Whispers spread like wildfire through the dusty streets of the local saloon, each retelling adding a layer of intrigue and apprehension. Old Man Murphy, the town's resident gossip, claims to have seen Virelli's men snooping around the Blue Horizon's property line, their faces hidden beneath Stetsons pulled low. Sally Mae, the owner of the general store, swears she overheard one of Virelli's associates bragging about how they were going to run the Johnsons out of business. The air crackles with tension, a palpable sense of unease settling over the town like a shroud. Even the saloon doors seem to creak a little louder, as if echoing the growing concern in everyone's hearts. Jett might be a respected figure in these parts, but Virelli's got a reputation that precedes him, a reputation built on ruthlessness and a blatant disregard for anyone who stands in his way. The Johnsons might be loved by many, but even they can't escape the long shadow cast by a man like Virelli. The stakes are high and everyone knows it. This ain't just about land anymore, it's about principle, about protecting a way of life that's slowly fading into the sunset. Section 4. Virelli makes his move, a line drawn in the dust. Virelli, true to his nature, doesn't waste time with pleasantries. He sends a slick-talking lawyer to the Blue Horizon, a city slicker in a too-tight suit and a condescending smirk, carrying an envelope that feels heavier than a sack of potatoes. The lawyer lays out Virelli's proposition, his words dripping with honeyed deceit, offering the Johnsons what he calls a generous sum for their land. Jett listens, his face an unreadable mask, his jaw clenched so tight you could crack walnuts with it. Jennifer, her eyes blazing with righteous anger, sees right through Virelli's charade. They both know this ain't no offer. It's a threat, thinly veiled beneath a veneer of legality. Their refusal is swift and absolute. The Blue Horizon ain't for sale, not for all the money in the world. Jett, his voice low and dangerous, tells the lawyer to deliver a message to his boss. You come after my family, you come after my land, you're gonna have to kill me first. The lawyer, sensing the simmering fury beneath Jett's calm exterior, beats a hasty retreat, his fancy shoes kicking up dust as he hightails it back to his boss. The line in the sand has been drawn, there's a storm brewing, a clash of wills that threatens to tear apart the very fabric of their lives. The Johnsons might be facing their toughest challenge yet, but they're gonna face it head-on with the same grit and determination that's seen them through every hardship life's thrown their way. Section 5. Jett and Jennifer, standing strong, facing the unknown. The sun sets on the blue horizon, casting long shadows across the land, a visual representation of the uncertainty that now hangs heavy in the air. Jett and Jennifer stand on the porch, their fingers intertwined, their silence speaking volumes. They know the fight's just begun, and they need to prepare for the storm that's about to break. There's a quiet strength in their unity, a bond forged in love and tested by fire. They're facing their worst nightmare, but they're facing it together, drawing strength from the love that binds them, the shared history etched into the very foundation of their home. Jett pulls Jennifer close, his embrace a silent vow of protection, his rough cheek resting against her temple. "We'll get through this," he murmurs, his voice rough with emotion, "just like we always do." Jennifer nods, her eyes shining with unshed tears, her voice firm despite the tremor in her heart. "We're a team, Jett Johnson, always have been, always will be." As the last rays of sunlight fade, plunging the ranch into darkness, they stand together, two silhouettes against the dying light, their love a beacon of hope in the face of adversity. They might be afraid, but they won't back down. This is their home, their legacy, and they'll fight tooth and nail to protect it. The battle for the blue horizon has just begun. Section 1. A Taste of Fear. Virelli turns up the heat. Virelli, true to his word, doesn't let up. He knows how to play dirty, how to exploit every weakness, every crack in the Johnsons' defenses. The first blow comes subtly, insidiously, like a rattler slithering through the underbrush. The water supply to the blue horizon dwindles, then dries up completely. The lifeblood of the ranch, essential for the cattle, the horses, for their very survival, is cut off. Panic ripples through the ranch hands, their faces etched with worry as they watch the water troughs sit empty, the sun beating down mercilessly on the parched earth. Jett, his jaw clenched tight, his eyes narrowed with suspicion, knows exactly who's behind this. This ain't no drought, no act of God. It's a calculated attack. A taste of the lengths Virelli's willing to go to break them. The heat intensifies, both literally and figuratively. The sun beats down on the blue horizon, turning the once lush pastures into a tinderbox, every blade of grass a potential spark waiting to ignite. Jett and Jennifer work tirelessly, hauling water from a distant spring, their bodies aching, their resolve pushed to the brink. But even in the face of adversity, their love for each other and their land remains a constant, a flickering flame in the growing darkness. They refuse to be cowed, to let fear dictate their actions. They're Johnsons, damn it, and they don't back down from a fight, especially when everything they hold dear is at stake. Section 2. Whispers of sabotage paranoia grips the ranch. As the days turn into sleepless nights, a sense of paranoia grips the blue horizon. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle in the bushes sends shivers down their spines. The ranch hands, their nerves frayed, start seeing shadows where there are none, hearing whispers on the wind. They know Virelli's out there, lurking in the darkness, waiting to strike again. Jett, ever vigilant, patrols the ranch boundaries, his trusty rifle never far from his side. He trusts his gut, and his gut tells him this is far from over. Virelli's playing a dangerous game, one with consequences that could spiral out of control. Jett's not afraid of a fight, but he's not stupid either. He knows he needs to protect his family, his livelihood, but he also knows he can't be everywhere at once. One night, a fire erupts near the southern pasture, flames licking at the dry grass, spreading with terrifying speed. It's too close to the barn, too close to the house, for it to be a coincidence. The ranch hands scramble to contain the blaze, their faces illuminated by the dancing flames, fear and anger burning in their eyes. Jett, his heart pounding in his chest, sees the telltale signs of sabotage. A kerosene-soaked rag, a set of tire tracks leading away from the scene. This ain't no accident, no act of nature. This is arson, plain and simple. And Jett knows exactly who to blame. Virelli's crossed a line, and Jett's not about to let him get away with it. Section 3. Trial by Fire. The Blue Horizon under siege. The fire rages on, fueled by the dry grass and the relentless wind, a monstrous entity threatening to consume everything in its path. The flames dance and swirl, casting grotesque shadows on the faces of the exhausted firefighters. Jett, his face grimed with soot, his eyes bloodshot from smoke and fatigue, directs the ranch hands, their movements a well-oiled machine honed by years of working together. Hoses snake across the parched earth, spewing water onto the inferno, but the fire seems to mock their efforts, growing larger, more menacing by the minute. The air is thick with smoke, the acrid smell burning their lungs, making it hard to breathe, harder to think, but there's no time to panic, no room for fear. The blue horizon is burning, and they're the only ones who can save it. Jennifer, her face streaked with sweat and tears, tends to the injured, her hands working quickly, efficiently, patching up burns, offering words of comfort and encouragement. She might not be able to wield a hose or swing an axe, but her presence is a source of strength for the exhausted firefighters, a reminder of what they're fighting for. As dawn breaks, painting the sky with hues of gray and orange, the fire finally begins to subside. The once lush pastures are now charred black scars on the landscape, the air heavy with the smell of smoke and ash. The blue horizon stands, battered but not broken, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the enduring power of hope. Section 4. Fighting for every acre, Jett rallies. His forces. The fire might be out, but the fight is far from over. The ranch hands gather in the shadow of the scorched barn, their faces etched with exhaustion and anger. The smell of smoke hangs heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the devastation they've just endured. Jett, his voice hoarse but steady, addresses his team, his gaze sweeping over each face, connecting with their grief, their anger, their unwavering loyalty. Jett, we've been hit hard, but we're not broken. We're gonna rebuild. We're gonna show Virelli that he can't break our spirit. He can't steal our home. His words, simple yet powerful, resonate with the exhausted men and women standing before him. They've known hardship before, faced adversity head-on, and emerged stronger, more united. Jett lays out his plan, his voice taking on a steely edge. They're going to fight fire with fire, using every legal means at their disposal to expose Virelli's treachery. They'll rally the support of their neighbors, the townsfolk who depend on the blue horizon, the community that's always had their back. They might be outmanned, outgunned, but they have something Virelli doesn't. The unwavering belief in what's right, the fierce determination to protect their land, their legacy. They are the heart and soul of the West, and they're not going down without a fight. Section 5. Love amidst the ashes. Jennifer's strength shines through. As the sun sets on another day, casting long shadows across the scarred landscape, Jett and Jennifer stand amidst the ruins of what was once their home. The fire might have claimed their possessions, their sense of security, but it hasn't touched the love that binds them, the shared history etched into every fiber of their beings. Jett, his shoulders slumped with fatigue, runs a calloused hand through his soot-stained hair, his usual confidence shaken by the events of the past few days. He feels responsible, the weight of his family's legacy, the well-being of his ranch hands pressing down on him with suffocating force. Jennifer, ever perceptive, senses his turmoil. She reaches out, her hand finding his, her touch a balm on his weary soul. "We'll get through this," she whispers, her voice filled with quiet strength. Together. Her words, spoken with such conviction, ignite a spark of hope in Jett's heart. He's not alone in this fight. He has Jennifer, his rock, his anchor by his side. They stand together, silhouetted against the dying embers of the fire, their love a beacon of hope in the face of despair. They've lost so much, but they still have each other, and in that moment, it's enough. Section 6. The will to endure. Picking up the pieces. The sun rises on a new day, painting the sky with hues of pink and orange, a symbol of hope, of renewal. The blue horizon, though scarred by fire, still stands, a testament to the enduring spirit of the West. The ranch hands, their faces grimed with soot, their bodies aching but their spirits unbroken, begin the arduous task of rebuilding. There's a quiet determination in their movements as they clear debris, repair fences, tend to the injured livestock. They've lost so much, but they refuse to be defeated. The fire might have tested their resolve, but it's also strengthened their bonds, reminding them of what truly matters: family, community, the land that sustains them. Jett, his gaze fixed on the horizon, knows the fight is far from over. Virelli's out there, lurking in the shadows, but Jett's ready for him. He's gathered evidence, rallied his allies, and prepared for the legal battle ahead. He's fighting for his family, his legacy, his very way of life. The blue horizon might be down, but it's not out. The spirit of the West, like the phoenix rising from the ashes, will prevail. The fight for justice, for what's right, has just begun. Section 1. Showdown at high noon. A confrontation looms. Word spreads through the town like wildfire, whispered from rancher to shopkeeper, from cowboy to saloon owner. Jett Johnson's called out Virelli. The news hangs in the air, thick and heavy as the dust devils swirling down Main Street, whipping up anticipation and a healthy dose of fear. It's high noon, the sun a blazing inferno overhead, baking the wooden sidewalks and turning the air thick and sluggish. The townsfolk, their faces a mixture of apprehension and morbid curiosity, peek out from behind saloon doors and general store windows, their gazes fixed on the two figures facing each other in the dusty street. Jett, his Stetson pulled low over his eyes, stands tall and resolute, his jaw clenched, his hand resting casually near the Colt Peacemaker strapped to his hip. He's a man of action, not words, but today, words are his only weapons. Virelli, in his tailored suit and polished boots, looks out of place in this rugged setting, a wolf in sheep's clothing. He smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes, the glint of steel reflecting the sun's glare. The air crackles with unspoken tension, the silence broken only by the distant whinny of a horse and the rhythmic creak of a weather-beaten sign swinging in the breeze. This ain't no ordinary standoff, folks. This is a battle for the soul of the blue horizon, a reckoning years in the making. Section 2, words like bullets. Jett's ultimatum. You got 3 days. Jett's voice cuts through the tense silence, sharp as a whip crack. He doesn't shout, doesn't need to. His words carry the weight of a thunderclap, echoing off the wooden storefronts lining the dusty street. 3 days to clear out, to drop your claim on my land, to get the hell out of my town. Jett's gaze bores into Virelli, unwavering, a challenge in every syllable. He's a patient man, Jett Johnson, but even his patience has its limits. Virelli's pushed him too far, threatened everything he holds dear. Now it's time for payback. Virelli throws back his head and laughs, a sharp, humorless sound that cuts through the tension like a rusty blade. You think you can threaten me, Johnson? He sneers, his voice dripping with disdain. This town, this land, it all bends to the highest bidder. And you, my friend, are sadly out of your league. Jett's jaw tightens, but he doesn't rise to the bait. He's playing a dangerous game, he knows it, but sometimes a man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. 3 days, Virelli, he repeats, his voice low and dangerous. After that, all bets are off. The crowd gasps, a collective intake of breath. They've heard stories about Jett Johnson, whispers of a past shrouded in mystery, of a man who'd walked through fire and emerged from the ashes. But seeing him now, facing down the devil himself, it's enough to send shivers down the spine of even the bravest soul. Section 3, the stakes are raised, Virelli's ruthless retaliation. Virelli, true to his nature, doesn't take threats lightly. He's a man accustomed to getting his way, to crushing any obstacle that stands in his path. Jett's defiance, his unwavering refusal to back down, ignites a fury in Virelli's gut, a need to assert his dominance, to remind everyone who's in control. The next morning, as the sun casts its golden glow over the blue horizon, a plume of smoke darkens the sky. The barn, the heart of the ranch, is engulfed in flames, the hungry inferno consuming years of hard work and memories. Jett watches from a distance, his face a mask of fury and despair, the flames reflected in his eyes. He knows without a doubt who's behind this. This isn't just about land anymore, it's personal. Virelli's crossed a line, violated a sacred trust, and Jett vows to make him pay, no matter the cost. The fire isn't just burning wood and hay, it's fueling a rage within Jett, a cold, hard determination to bring Virelli down. Word of the fire spreads quickly, whispers of arson swirling through the town like the ashes carried on the wind. Fear grips the hearts of the townsfolk, a fear that spreads like a contagion. Virelli's message is clear: defy me, and face the consequences. Section 4, Whispers of Doubt. Can Jett protect what's his? The air at the blue horizon is thick with the smell of smoke and the bitter taste of defeat. The fire might be out, but the scars run deep, etched into the land, into the hearts of those who call it home. The ranch hands, their faces drawn and haggard, gather around the cook fire, their usual banter silenced by the weight of their loss. Doubt creeps in, insidious as the smoke that still lingers in the air. Whispers of Virelli's ruthlessness, his connections, his utter disregard for anything but his own ambition, swirl around them. Can Jett protect them? Can he defeat a man who seems to hold all the cards? Even Jake, the seasoned foreman, his loyalty to Jett unwavering, can't shake the feeling of unease that settles over him like a shroud. He's seen a lot in his years on the range, witnessed the best and worst of humanity, but there's something about Virelli, a darkness in his eyes that chills him to the bone. Jett, sensing their fear, their wavering faith, steps into the circle of firelight. He's exhausted, his body aching, his spirit weary, but his gaze is steady, his voice firm. "We've been hit hard," he acknowledges, "but we're not broken. We'll rebuild, we'll fight back, and we will win." His words, spoken with such conviction, ignite a flicker of hope in the eyes of his men. They want to believe him, need to believe him. He's Jett Johnson, their rock, their leader, and if he says they can win, then by God they'll find a way. Section 5. Love on the line, the weight of their vows. The weight of responsibility hangs heavy on Jett's shoulders, threatening to crush him. He sees the fear in his men's eyes, feels the burden of their hopes and dreams resting on his every decision. And Jennifer, his beautiful, strong Jennifer, her usually vibrant spirit dimmed by the constant threat hanging over them, her worry for him, for their future, a tangible presence in their small cabin. He holds her close, seeking solace in her warmth, in the familiar scent of her hair, in the steady beat of her heart against his chest. "Jett, I'm doing everything I can, but Virelli, he's like a force of nature, impossible to stop." Jennifer pulls back, her fingers tracing the lines of worry etched on his face, her touch a reminder of everything he's fighting for. "Jennifer, you're stronger than you think, Jett Johnson. We're stronger together. We'll find a way." Her words are a lifeline, a beacon of hope in the gathering darkness. He needs her strength, her unwavering faith, to fuel his own. He kisses her, a kiss that speaks of love and fear, and the desperate need to hold on to something real, something true, in a world that's spinning out of control. They are partners in every sense of the word, bound by love and loyalty, by a shared history and a future that's suddenly uncertain. But one thing is for sure, they'll face whatever comes their way together. Section 6. Into the Abyss. Preparing for the inevitable. The 3 days pass with agonizing slowness, each tick of the clock a hammer blow to Jett's gut. He knows Virelli won't back down, that the man thrives on conflict, on the thrill of the kill. The air at the blue horizon crackles with anticipation, a palpable sense of dread hanging heavy as the smoke that still lingers in the air. Jett gathers his men, their faces grim but resolute, their eyes reflecting the fiery sunset painting the sky in hues of battle. They are outnumbered, outgunned, but they have one advantage. They're fighting for their home, for their way of life, for the very soul of the West. The ranch is eerily silent, the usual sounds of livestock and ranch hands replaced by the whispering wind and the distant cry of a hawk circling overhead. A storm is brewing, a clash of wills that will determine the fate of the blue horizon, and perhaps the future of the West itself. As the last rays of sunlight fade, plunging the ranch into darkness, Jett checks his rifle one last time, the cold steel a comforting weight in his hands. He's ready, willing to face whatever the night brings, to fight to his last breath to protect what's his. The battle for the blue horizon is about to begin. Section 1. Riders on the Ridge. A threat emerges from the darkness. A chill wind howled through the canyons, carrying the scent of rain and the low rumble of distant thunder. The moon, a silver sliver veiled by scudding clouds, cast an eerie glow on the ranch below, the scene as tense and expectant as a coiled rattlesnake. Inside the main house, Jett paced, his boots thudding against the wooden floor, each step a metronome marking the passing minutes, each one bringing them closer to the inevitable confrontation. Suddenly, Jake burst through the door, his face etched with urgency. "Jake! Riders, Jett! On the ridge, north side!" The tension in the room thickened, the air heavy with apprehension. The moment they'd all been dreading, preparing for, had arrived. Virelli, true to his word, hadn't come to negotiate. He'd come to claim what he believed was rightfully his, and damn the consequences. Jett's jaw tightened, his eyes hardening with resolve. "Jett, get everyone into position. Remember your training and watch each other's backs. And Jake, no heroics, you hear? We need you." Jake always did have a knack for stating the obvious, Jett. As Jake disappeared back into the night, Jett felt a hand on his arm. He turned to see Jennifer, her face pale in the moonlight streaming through the window, her eyes reflecting the firelight dancing in the hearth. "Jennifer, be careful, Jett, come back to me." He pulled her close, his lips brushing against her hair, the scent of lavender and wood smoke a comforting anchor in the storm. "Jett, always do, darlin'." He kissed her then, a kiss that spoke of love and fear, and the desperate hope for a future they might not have. Section 2, the first volley, a desperate battle for survival. The first shot rang out, sharp and sudden, shattering the stillness of the night. It was followed by another and another, until the air was alive with the deafening roar of gunfire. The riders on the ridge, silhouetted against the flames of the burning barn, had made their move, charging down the hillside, their yells echoing across the valley. Jett, his senses on high alert, moved with a grace born of years spent in the saddle, his rifle a natural extension of himself. He took aim, squeezed the trigger, the recoil a familiar jolt against his shoulder. He didn't need to see the result. He knew his shot had found its mark. The ranch hands, their faces illuminated by the muzzle flashes, fought back with a ferocity born of desperation. They were outnumbered, outgunned, but they had one thing Virelli's hired guns didn't: the will to fight for their home, for their lives, for the very ground they stood on. Billy, the young buckaroo, his face a mask of grim determination, manned a Gatling gun, the heavy weapon spitting fire and lead, keeping the attackers at bay. Sarah the cook, her face grim beneath her flour-dusted apron, loaded rifles with a speed and efficiency that would have made a seasoned gunsmith proud. The night was a symphony of chaos and carnage, the air thick with the smell of gunpowder and fear. But through it all, Jett held his ground, his rifle spitting fire, his voice a beacon of calm amidst the storm, rallying his men, urging them on. Section 3. Outnumbered, outgunned, but not outmatched. Jett's strategy. The initial onslaught was relentless, a wave of fury that threatened to overwhelm their defenses. Jett, his mind racing, knew they couldn't win this fight head-on. They needed a plan, a way to even the odds. He ducked back behind a hastily erected barricade, the air thick with smoke and the acrid tang of gunpowder. "Jake, we need to draw them out, funnel them into the canyon," Jett shouted, his voice hoarse but steady. He pointed towards a narrow defile cutting through the hills to the east. "We can use the terrain to our advantage, but that'll put us in a crossfire," one of the ranch hands protested, his voice tight with fear. Jett fixed him with a steely gaze. "We're in a crossfire now," he retorted, his voice hard as flint. "It's our only chance. Trust me." Jake, his weathered face etched with concern, nodded his agreement. He'd fought alongside Jett for years, had seen him pull off the impossible more times than he could count. "What do you need us to do?" he asked, his voice betraying his unwavering loyalty. Jett outlined his plan, his words precise, each detail carefully considered. It was a gamble, a desperate throw of the dice, but it was their only hope. Section 4. Fighting for every inch, a desperate gamble pays off. The canyon echoed with the deafening roar of gunfire, the air alive with the whine of ricocheting bullets and the terrified whinnies of horses. Jett, his heart pounding against his ribs, took aim, his rifle spitting fire, picking off the lead riders as they thundered into the narrow defile. He'd anticipated Virelli's arrogance, the man's belief that sheer numbers would be enough to crush them. But Jett had used that arrogance against him, luring the attackers into a trap of their own making. The canyon walls, once a source of concealment, now became a deadly funnel, channeling the attackers into a killing zone. The ranch hands, concealed amongst the rocks and scrub, poured fire into the ranks of the approaching riders, their aim true, their resolve hardened by the knowledge that they were fighting for their very survival. Horses reared, their riders screaming as they were thrown from their saddles, the ground littered with the bodies of men and animals. The air was thick with the coppery tang of blood and the acrid smell of gunpowder. Virelli's men, caught in the crossfire, panicked, their ranks breaking, their initial confidence shattered against the unyielding resistance of the defenders. They had underestimated Jett Johnson and his men, their courage fueled by something far more powerful than greed or ambition: the love of land and family. Section 5. Victory's Price. The dust settles on a new dawn. The sun, a blood-red orb rising over the eastern hills, cast long shadows across the ravaged landscape. The air, still thick with smoke, echoed with the groans of the wounded and the mournful cries of circling buzzards. The battle was over, the silence almost deafening after the night's cacophony of gunfire. Jett, his clothes torn, his body battered but his spirit unbroken, surveyed the scene, his heart heavy with the weight of victory. The blue horizon lay in ruins, the once proud buildings reduced to smoldering rubble. But they had survived, against overwhelming odds. He found Jennifer near the remnants of their cabin, her face streaked with tears and soot, her eyes filled with a mixture of relief and anguish. He pulled her close, his embrace tight, a silent promise to protect her, to rebuild their lives, their future. "It's over," he murmured, his voice rough with exhaustion. "It's finally over." Jennifer leaned into him, drawing strength from his embrace. "We lost so much," she whispered, her voice catching. Jett cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs gently wiping away her tears. "We're alive, darling," he said, his voice husky with emotion. "That's all that matters. We'll rebuild. We always do." As the sun climbed higher, bathing the land in its golden light, Jett felt a surge of hope. They had stared into the abyss and emerged victorious. The blue horizon might be in ashes, but the spirit of the West, the spirit of resilience and determination, burned brighter than ever. The fight for the land, for their way of life, had taken its toll, but it had also forged them anew, their love and their courage tempered in the fires of adversity. And as Jett looked out over the smoldering ruins, he knew that they would face whatever the future held, together. Section 1. Justice prevails, Virelli's reign of terror ends. Word of the battle at the blue horizon spread through the territory like wildfire, fanned by the winds of outrage and a thirst for justice. Virelli, his arrogance shattered against the unyielding spirit of the West, found himself facing a reckoning of his own making. The evidence Jett and his allies had gathered, the charred remnants of sabotage, the eyewitness accounts of intimidation and violence, painted a damning picture of the man's ruthlessness. The townsfolk, their initial fear replaced by righteous anger, rallied behind the Johnsons, their voices a chorus of condemnation that echoed through the halls of justice. Virelli's money, his influence, couldn't buy him out of this one. The law, too long absent from these parts, had returned with a vengeance, spurred on by the collective will of a community determined to see justice served. The trial was swift, the verdict inevitable. Stripped of his power, his wealth, his veneer of respectability, Virelli was exposed for what he truly was, a coward, a bully, a parasite who'd sought to profit from the hard work and dreams of others. As the judge read the guilty verdict, a collective sigh of relief swept through the courtroom, a palpable sense of satisfaction that justice, though long delayed, had finally prevailed. Virelli's reign of terror was over, his dreams of conquest reduced to ashes as surely as the buildings of the blue horizon. He was led away, his head bowed, his spirit broken, a cautionary tale whispering on the wind. Some things, even in the untamed West, were not for sale, not for all the money or power in the world. Section 2. The healing power of community, rebuilding the blue horizon. The spirit of the West, like the land itself, was resilient, capable of enduring the harshest of storms and emerging stronger, renewed. The fire that had ravaged the blue horizon while leaving its mark on the land and its people had also ignited a spark of unity, a shared determination to rebuild, to honor the legacy that had been so fiercely defended. From the ashes of destruction rose a wave of generosity and compassion, a testament to the enduring power of community. Ranchers from neighboring spreads, their faces weathered by sun and wind, arrived with hammers and saws, their wagons laden with lumber and supplies. Townsfolk, their hearts touched by the Johnsons' plight, brought food and clothing, their hands offering comfort and support. Children, their laughter echoing across the valley, helped to clear debris, their youthful energy a balm on the weary souls of their elders. Jennifer, her spirit unbroken despite the losses they'd endured, moved among them, her smile a beacon of gratitude, her strength a source of inspiration. She organized, delegated, her hands never idle, her heart filled with a profound sense of hope. Jett, his initial despair replaced by a quiet determination, worked tirelessly alongside his neighbors, his gratitude for their support evident in every swing of his hammer, every stone he set in place. The blue horizon, he vowed, would rise again, stronger, more vibrant than ever before. Section 3. Riding off into the sunset. A new chapter begins. The sun, a fiery orb sinking below the horizon, cast long shadows across the newly rebuilt blue horizon. The air, sweet with the scent of pine and wildflowers, hummed with a sense of peace, of hard-won contentment. The ranch, its buildings gleaming in the golden light, stood as a testament to the enduring power of love, loyalty, and the unyielding spirit of the West. Jett and Jennifer, their hands intertwined, stood on the porch, their gazes fixed on the horizon, their hearts filled with gratitude and a quiet joy. They had faced their fears, fought for what they believed in, and emerged from the crucible of adversity stronger, their bond unbreakable. The scars of the past remained, etched into the land in their memories, but they no longer held the power to wound. As the last rays of sunlight faded, painting the sky in hues of purple and gold, Jett turned to Jennifer, his eyes reflecting the love and admiration he felt for this extraordinary woman who had stood by his side through thick and thin. "We did it, darling," he murmured, his voice husky with emotion. "We beat the odds." Jennifer smiled, her eyes sparkling with unshed tears. "We did it together, Jett Johnson," she whispered, her voice filled with love and pride. "And we'll face whatever comes next, the same way, side by side." And as the stars twinkled to life in the vast expanse of the Montana sky, Jett and Jennifer turned towards their home, their steps light, their hearts filled with the promise of a new dawn, a new chapter in the ongoing saga of the Blue Horizon. The West, they knew, was a land of endless possibilities, where dreams like wildflowers after a spring rain had a way of taking root and blooming against all odds. The ride, they sensed, was far from over. But for now, they were content to savor the moment, to embrace the quiet joy of a love that had weathered the storm and emerged stronger, more resilient than ever before.